Hey guys, welcome back for another video. Today I am just going to give you kind of a general update about the last few weeks. I haven't been able to get my camera working right, so I haven't posted anything new as far as newly recorded stuff. I have posted a few diaper reviews, but those were recorded a little while back. So the last few weeks have been pretty rough for me. About 3 weeks ago, I was admitted to the hospital following a visit to the ER for a seizure that caused stroke-like symptoms afterwards. And it was pretty scary for me because once I got in the hospital, I continued to have a lot more seizures. So they decided to actually go ahead and admit me for a couple of nights till the stroke-like symptoms subsided. They determined there was not a stroke, which we figured, but with not knowing what my seizures were doing, made it that I was at risk for a stroke. So I spent about 3 days in the hospital here in town, and then after, I think it was Monday, I went in Friday and I was in there till Monday. And Monday morning they decided that I needed to be transferred to the hospital out in Kansas City because they wanted to run the video EEG test that I was actually not supposed to get until the week of Christmas. But they felt with the severity of my seizures being so often, they wanted to get this test done. Many of us had suspicions on whether or not I had epilepsy or not, but this test would confirm it. And so I think it was by 2 o'clock Monday, we were all settled into the hospital in Kansas City, and they started to hook me up to the video EEG. That was interesting. I only remember part of it because I fell asleep. But what they do is they kind of part your hair, and then they put all these little electrodes like down the center of your head. I had some down here, and then a row like right back there, and then like one behind each ear and down on my heart. This is because it's a longer term EEG than ones they do in the doctor's offices. They have to use a pretty hefty glue, and I didn't know this at the time, but they actually made little cuts, tiny cuts in my head, to get the glue to stick really well to the skin and the hair, because it is a conductive glue, so it allows the electrode to read the brain activity through that glue. It's very interesting. And so they did that, and then they also, when they're doing the video EEG test, they have the whole thing right there. They have a screen that shows your brain waves, and they also have like this big old video camera that sits on you at all times while the EEG is running. Then they put this little pack next to you, and it's got all the wires coming out of it. It goes to your head, and then there's another longer wire that runs over to the computer. And then they have, when you're on the seizure precautions, they have an emergency button that you press, and it sends off an alarm out there, and the nurses and doctors all come in when you're having a seizure. So that was very interesting. I don't remember a ton of times during my seizures. It was very strange for me, but they I guess at one point I had like 10 people in my room watching a seizure. And after like one of the really big ones, I had seizures on and off for half an hour. And usually when they're doing this test, they don't intervene because they're trying to catch any seizure activity after the actual event. So when they intervene with Ativan or something like that, often it kind of mars the result of the tests right after the seizure, so they can't really tell as well what is going on in the brain, because you've kind of sedated the brain a little bit. So that was kind of interesting, but I had a lot of fun watching the screen and seeing what different things would do to the screen. Apparently it takes a lot of muscles to chew, because whenever I was eating, there would just be these solid black lines every time I closed my mouth, and it was really cool. Interesting to see what your brain does. And I kind of remember one episode a little bit, and it wasn't actually, I don't know if it was actually a seizure or not, but I remembered seeing it on one of the episodes, and it was like kind of all over the place, like the lines were just going everywhere. And so that was interesting. But as it turns out, I do not have epilepsy. I have what is called PNES, or psychogenic non-epileptic seizures. And that is where basically instead of it coming from your brain and your brain activity being off, it's actually not involving your brain really at all, other than what your brain would do generally for the movements that you're doing. It's actually caused by trauma or psychological stress. And for me, that kind of stems from, I've had a lot of stuff going on over the last couple, decade or so. And so that's kind of, we think, where this is being triggered from. Now that I'm semi-healthy, my body has, or my brain has decided that it's time to kind of let go of that, and causing these seizures. We did also find out that we think one of the seizure types that I was having is actually somewhat of a panic attack, but it's a very severe panic attack, almost like a mixture between a seizure and a panic attack, because I'm not always conscious for it. And so those are really strange. I can remember bits and pieces. I remember hearing some Andrew's voice a lot, but I can never understand what he's saying until I come out of it a bit, and it's really strange, and it's so scary, because a lot of times when I'm having that, I almost get like a vision type thing, and it's not a cool vision at all. It's scary and dark, and it's really hard to explain, other than the fact that it's like a dark, like sinister movie type thing, but it's related to me and what I've gone through. And it's just when I wake up from it, I'm terrified, and I'm super hypersensitive. Pretty much somebody can simply like put their hand on my shoulder and I'll jump, because to me my body is feeling that as pain. And so that the psychogenic seizures also kind of go along with conversion disorder, which they actually say, you have conversion disorder, which causes the PNES. Usually I go with the PNES because it kind of covers it more, but with conversion disorder, it's almost the same thing, but it's slightly different. It encompasses everything, not just the seizure part. But conversion disorder, again, your brain takes a psychological stress, and it turns it into physical symptoms. An example they give oftentimes is, say you're riding a horse and you fall down and you hurt your leg, or you break your leg. Your brain will take that and it'll paralyze your leg so that you can't actually use it. Even though it's physically fine, there's no reason it should be paralyzed. It's just broken or just sprained. Your body will, work with your brain and cause that to happen. We suspect that that's kind of what has happened with my legs, a little bit. We're not 100% sure on that, but we're thinking that could be it. So for now, with the legs, we're treating for the pain, but we're also going to see how well the treatment for the conversion disorder works on the legs, and hopefully that'll greatly improve them. I have been in physical therapy for my legs, which has helped a lot. Starting to get some mobility back. I can generally walk to the car and back from here and be okay. I still can't go around the store or anything like that without some sort of aid, such as like crutches or a scooter or wheelchair or something like that. I just don't have the strength and the endurance to get through that. My legs will give out fairly quickly. But I can get from the car into the store. Oftentimes I get dropped off at the door, so that I don't have to go the extra bit. But so for what you do for this conversion disorder and everything is you do counseling with a psychologist, and a lot of times they combine that with some sort of medication, be it anti-anxiety or something like that. They help get that mental stress under control. Also, you work with, kind of reading up on it, figuring what's your trigger. Right now I've got a couple of books that I'm reading, and I'm doing a lot of deep breathing exercises if I feel one of those coming on. Like I said, sometimes I can feel it, sometimes it just boom happens. Usually those are the more seizure-like ones, and if I am going to have the panic attack ones, I can usually feel it coming on. So I try to, lay there and, do some deep breathing, and oftentimes I kind of run my hand through my hair. That helps calm me. And and yesterday, last night or the night before and yesterday, we had an interesting night. I had a lot of asthma issues the night before. I used my inhaler probably 4 or 5 times that night, and was up late, and then I woke up in the morning and I sounded funny. I was coughing a lot. I couldn't breathe very well, and I didn't wake up till about noon. But between noon and about 3 o'clock, things got a lot worse, to where my breathing picked up really fast, and I just couldn't get enough air in. So we ended up going to the ER again. We're just worried, because I don't have a spleen. The doctor says, don't waste time calling me, because if you've got some sort of infection or virus or something like that, it can change in a matter of hours to be something life-threatening, because I don't have that spleen to fight off the infection. So she tells me, go straight to the ER. Don't call me. Just go to the ER. And so we did. And they did tests. They did x-rays and everything and blood work. And everything came back okay, except for they said my blood levels were fairly elevated and indicating a blood clot. So they decided to do a CAT scan to see if they could see a blood clot or anything like that. And so that was interesting. They had to get an IV in there and everything. But it all went well in the end. No blood clot, no pneumonia or infection that they could find. I still haven't seen the blood work results yet, so I'm just waiting for them to become available online, and we'll see what it says. But turned out that it was just an atypical asthma attack, and the way I was using my inhaler, it's not properly delivering the medication to my lungs, so they gave me this little thing that's called a spacer that helps deliver it, deeper into your lungs and everything like that. So I did okay after that. They did a half-hour breathing treatment, and it really calmed things down. So we're hoping to kind of follow up on that today at my appointment, and see if we can get anything else to help out with that asthma, because it gets really bad in the winter. So other than that, just kind of at a standstill right now as far as anything goes. I'm just waiting to finish up some doctor's appointments and get into treatment for these seizures and counseling and all that. So I will keep you all updated, and if I don't get to report back in a reasonable time, have a great Christmas season. You guys have been wonderful, so thanks a lot.